Hello and welcome to Gapeys Garden. I'm Paula and we're in the greenhouse where we've still got peppers in November, which is pretty unheard of. We're a little late for getting our first frost, but it looks like it may come on Wednesday this week, so time is of the essence to get everything picked. We've got a lot of work to do here in the greenhouse before then, so as soon as I'm done with this video, I'm going to be picking a lot of peppers. It's been a while since I've posted a public pepper update, but if you're one of my paid members of my YouTube channel, you would have seen a couple of pepper updates this season that I made available to my members. That's just one of the perks of being a member. I also give out seeds and hot sauce to my members as well. So if you're interested in becoming a member, be sure to check that out. But let's take a look and see what peppers we have left. Last week I did a video on all of the jalapenos, so I'm not going to go over those in too much detail. If you missed that, be sure to check that out. I harvested all of the ripe jalapenos a couple days ago and got them smoked, and they're currently in the dehydrator, so all we have left now is the unripe ones, which I'm going to turn into cowboy candy. But next to that we have our tangerine tiger. This is the only one that I planted in the greenhouse, and it has done really phenomenal. It's done much better than the ones that I have outside of the greenhouse because they just get a lot more warmth here. Some of them, this one actually doesn't look like it has any stripes on this one, but most of the pods we have on here have stripes. You can see some on this one. We have a really nice one over here. These are just beautiful peppers with mild heat and very fruity and sweet. I really love this cross. And this cross is of the ahi tangerine from Susan Garza and the Sugar Rush stripe. But this seed came from Craig Jennings. This is from his plant number 4 that he grew last year. And he grew like, I don't know, 60 plants or something. Pretty crazy, but he got lots of cool phenos and he sent me some seeds of this one. And then next to that, we've got our Peppa Peach Stripey. Unfortunately, we didn't get any stripes on these, but I do really like these anyway. They have a very fruity, sweet flavor. Not really much heat at all on these, but I got to harvest all of these guys here today. Then we've got the Piment d'Espelette. Now this is normally used for, I believe, a powder, so I'm planning on harvesting all these and putting them in the dehydrator. This was a super, super productive plant. I need to get my smoked jalapenos dehydrated because they are filling up the dehydrator at the moment. Behind that, we've got our Jolene's Rustic Italian. So this is a very sweet pepper, no heat on this at all. But I grew this probably for the last couple of years, and I really, really like it. They have, you can see how large these peppers are. Very big. But I might grow that again next year because it is one of my favorites. And then this one here is our Gypsy Baron. So this is a purple sweet pepper, and then it does eventually ripen to a very dark, it kind of still remains a little bit purple. I think this one is ripe, but it has a slight kind of red tinge to it. When you cut it open, it does have kind of a dark red color to it. But we do have a few of these that are ripened, but it is a little bit hard to tell when they're ripe on this plant. So this one here is a ripe one, just a little bit of reddish purple there. But you can eat them as purple or wait until they get a little bit purpley or reddish color. Now the Thunder Mountain Longhorn here, these peppers are really neat looking, but to be honest, I really don't know what to do with them, so I haven't really done much with these, and I don't think I'll grow it again, because once they turn red, they do start getting a little bit rubbery, and at that point, they're really not much use at all, but it is kind of neat looking. Now this here was supposed to be my Korean gochu. Unfortunately, it must have crossed with something last year because this is not what it's supposed to look like. They're much bigger than they're supposed to be. You can see this one here. They should be much skinnier and smaller. They do pack a lot of heat. I think they're a little bit spicier maybe than what Korean gochu should be, but I'll probably end up dehydrating these and turning these into powder as well. But I'm not going to save seeds from these because I don't really like this pheno. I would rather have my regular Korean gochu back. And then this one is a fun one. This is a XL Long Brown Sweet from Chris Fowler. And these are huge brown sweet peppers. And these have been ripe for a while, and they seem to stay nice and crunchy even after they've ripened for quite a while. So I think all of the peppers on here are ripe except for maybe this little one up here. So that one is probably not going to mature, but I have plenty of ripe ones here to pick today. So I'll probably end up putting some of these in the freezer. We have some more sweet peppers here on the other side of the greenhouse. I've also got a coleus over here that I planted several months ago, and it seems to be enjoying it in the greenhouse. That's a first. I had an empty space, so I just decided to put it there. But the bees have really been enjoying the flowers on here. But I've picked most of those off. Here's a little bit here. Anyway, back to the peppers. We've got some shishitos here in the corner, and we've got a lot of them that have turned red. These are probably the biggest shishitos that I've seen. These are extremely large for shishitos. Normally you pick these when they're green, but I've let a few of these go, as you can see. But I do intend to save seeds from these because I was completely out of shishito peppers, and I ended up getting this plant from a friend because I really wanted one. And then we've got blot here. This is another sweet pepper. It doesn't seem to be getting as much color as I've seen, so they do kind of start out a little bit purple like that, but mine have been completely losing all of their purpling and just turning basically completely yellow-orange color. And some of them look like they are starting to get rotten a little bit, so you can see that there. That's all rotted out, so I need to get these harvested and save what I can. Now this one here is the Chloe's Sweet Tangerine, which I've been growing for the last several years. This is a very, very sweet yellow pepper, and it's taking a really long time to ripen this year, but they do ripen to a kind of a yellowish orange color. This is probably the sweetest pepper that I've grown, so I really like growing this one every year. And then another really sweet one that I've grown for the first time this year is called Escamillo. And this one gets really huge, orangish, kind of the same color as the Chloe Sweet Tangerine. But this is a really neat variety. Some of the pods are a little bit skinnier than others. But I might grow this one again. It was really fairly productive. Then I grew a couple of paprika varieties. This Carlo paprika, it was a very, very short plant, so I'm not sure if it's supposed to be this short, but it only got maybe 6 peppers on it, and it just never got very tall. Actually, some of the peppers are starting to get a little moldy back there, so I need to get all these picked and toss out any bad ones. Now the other one we have back here is the Capria paprika. This one did much, much better. It is totally loaded with pretty decent sized red peppers, and I'm not seeing any molding on any of these. They all look like they're still doing really well. We have a few that aren't quite ripe yet, but I'm going to be picking all of these, and I'm planning on smoking these and then turning them into powder probably next week maybe. I grew one Kangstar variety this year. This is the Kangstar Starling pepper, and it's kind of tie-shaped peppers. I think it does have some Thai pepper in the cross, but these are fairly spicy. I probably will end up putting these into a powder too. Now we're getting into our super hot peppers. These are Chinense varieties that I'm growing for the first time. This one here is called Marupi Amarella, and this was the most productive, I think, of all of my plants. But it was supposed to be a white pepper, but most of them are turning out kind of very light, or actually very bright yellow. We did have a few pods that were a little bit lighter, so you could see these down. This one here is a little bit lighter, but not quite the color I was expecting, but they're still pretty pretty neat looking peppers, and it did really well. There's some lighter colored ones down here. I think this is more the color that it was supposed to get, but not very many of them came out that light. And then behind that we've got it's a habanero variety called Goronong, and it's a yellow one, so this is what it's supposed to look like. But it's kind of a wrinkly variety of habanero, kind of an interesting one. But it was pretty productive as well, but not quite as productive as the Marupi. But we got to get those picked today. And then we've got our super, super hot ones. This one is a BRMX mustard, and it's not quite mustard color. It's kind of a little bit of a cross between a yellow and mustard, I guess. But these are super spicy, so I'm thinking about doing a hot sauce out of these. I'm not sure yet. They're not quite the mustard color I was going for my hot sauce, so I'm not sure if I'm going to use those or not. And then we've also got let's see, this is the Ninfadora, and this is just a beautiful, beautiful plant. Some really awesome looking foliage. Unfortunately, there were no pepper pods set on this at all. It did get a few flowers, you can see there, but none of the flowers turned into peppers, unfortunately. But it is just a really gorgeous foliage. I really like it. So I might try growing it again next season and see if we can get any pods from it. But it's worth growing just for the foliage alone. Now we have our other mustard varieties. This one here is the Gator Jigsaw. So this is supposed to be super spicy. These are the ones that I am planning on using for my green super hot sauce. I've got some other plants here. We've got mustard gum nagabrain. This is the one that had purple foliage earlier in the year, but most of that purple foliage has turned green. There's a little bit of purpling in some of these top leaves, but for the most part, that purple has gone away. The peppers start out with a little bit of purple on them, and eventually they turn, ooh, look at that one, that's kind of a neat shape. Eventually they do turn mustard color, and if you leave them on for a really, really long time, I think I have one left here, they kind of have a peach color. So this has been on here this is probably way overripe. I should have picked it a long time ago, but I decided to leave it on. But I did already pick all of the ripe ones that were mustard color off of this plant yesterday. But we got some really nice ones that we got off here. And then the one behind it is the same variety, the mustard gum nagabrain, but this one did not have the purple foliage. And I also picked most of these yesterday as well. And these ones, the pods are a little bit different shape. They're more kind of bonnet shaped, I guess. But that's actually, I think this one is probably ripe. It's a little bit different green than the ones up here, and that's how you know that it's ripe. I think that might be the only one left. Actually, this one looks like it could be ripe as well. It's got a really dark mustard color that I think is going to go really good in my hot sauce. There you can see the difference between a ripe and an unripe pod there. So that is what's going on in the greenhouse. I don't really have any peppers left outside of the greenhouse because it's just been too cold, and pretty soon all these peppers are going to get picked, and pepper season will be over. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. You can also find me on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook.